Good morning, everybody. A bomb threat prompts a large police presence at Shell Lake School District. Barron County Sheriff's Office notifies the public of upcoming release of 3 convicted sex offenders, and a community meeting is announced for this week to address those releases. That and much more are all on tap for this week's Positive Tuesday show, today, December 10th, 2024. Barron County has a new ADA, and we'll get to our NFL picks in just a minute. But first, for Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, filling in for Spooner Health CEO Mike Schaefer, I'm DrydenWire founder Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Mike, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. Numbers right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fantastic.
Why are you changing the name?
Well, there you go, right there.
Love it. Whatever. I didn't even watch the show. I hope he did my picks right, though.
2 for 2.
Oh,
or 2 for 4. We both went 2 for 4.
I could have done that, Mike.
Yeah, so I figured you didn't watch the show because you're not going to watch the show unless you're on it. But yeah, he had mentioned, this should be the Ben and Mike show. So
that doesn't have the same flow.
No, well, he then messaged me after and said, you got to make sure it's Ben and Mike show, the introduction. So I'm like, okay. Since they advertise with us, I'll do whatever he wants. No problem, sir. You got it.
I'll call it whatever you want. You're paying the bill.
Yeah. But no kidding. Thanks for Mike for filling in for you last week. That was great. Man, I learned a whole bunch about health. That was fantastic. Absolutely great. I would actually recommend you go back and watch that. Good morning, Dirk. Good morning, everyone. If you're watching, please put in a good morning so we can put it on the screen. And yeah, holy cow, we have a lot to get to today.
We do.
Obviously, there was a bomb threat. Barron County Sheriff's Office responded to the bomb threat in Shell Lake yesterday. You had put out a notice about 3 sex offenders being released. There's a community meeting that is announced. A lot to get to, but as always, we start with our NFL picks. Here's where we are year to date. We both went 2 for 4 last week, so 67%, 48%. At some point, we'll probably have to look at this and think, is there any way that you could, how many weeks left, etc. But right now, you still could. So here's our picks for this week. I'll let you go first. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know who.
And I picked the 4 closest, by the way. These may not be the best games. These were the ones with the closest lines.
Oh, man. I'll take Buffalo.
Buffalo over the... Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually that's a good pick. But I'm comfortable with taking the lines on that, so okay. Next, I'll take... holy cow. I'll take the...
That's a good choice.
These suck. I'll take the Cowboys. I know they lost last night, but the Bengals are a better team than their record, and they were doing really well last night. They lost 27-20 to the Bengals. I'm going to go Cowboys on that one.
I'm going to take the... Oh, man. I'll take the Rams.
The Rams? All right. Well, that's good because, I'm always picking the 49ers.
Right.
All right. And the last one left, Texans and Miami. Oh, my whole screen just went black. Texans. Gosh. I'll go Houston.
All right. I'll take Miami. That's who I was leaning towards probably anyway. So.
All right. Well, that's good. Good morning tomorrow. All right. Holy cow, we have a lot to get to. And by the way, I want to ask you about WQOW if you've heard of this. What in the world is going on down there? We'll get to that and much, much more in 15 seconds after word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
So I've seen a whole bunch of Facebook posts. I don't watch WQOW. I usually watch like CBS stuff, and it's like out of Duluth, not down there. But you probably watch more of the Eau Claire news, just because being in Barron County, that's a lot closer. Something about WQOW shows or something. What is going on? Do you know anything about that?
Well, I don't, but I know that Keith Edwards is no longer there, and he's been somebody I've worked with my whole career here at the Sheriff's Department, and he's been a staple of that community. But I know had something, I believe it's the Allen Broadcasting System, and that out of Wausau. I have some contacts in Wausau, and the Wausau station went through the exact same thing, where they just came in and said, "Ben, you're no longer with the show. Boom, see ya." And I know Keith is gone, and some other people are gone, and yeah, that's most of their news is going to come out of Madison for all of Wisconsin, I guess.
Yeah, so my understanding was it was like La Crosse, Eau Claire, and maybe somewhere else. They were kind of okay, and then they're all really going to just be out of Madison. It reminds me a little bit of like APG Media in our area, in terms of newspapers, where it's Rice Lake Chronotype, Spooner Advocate in the Sawyer County. They're all under the same umbrella, and sometimes they share stories, but it's whatever, and it's like just kind of merging it all into one. Which I don't know. That's tough.
Well, you lose the local. I mean, you look, the Rice Lake Chronotype has only got, I think, 3 employees, and they used to have a whole. They used to print their own paper, write their own paper, and that's as times has changed and costs, and not everybody buys newspapers anymore, and and they get bought up by bigger media, and you get a lot more regional stories, and I don't. Why I care? I want to know local news, and so I think this is your platform, and other platforms similar to yours are what people are going to, and that's why you see some of these changes probably.
Well, hopefully they're still like their website is still. I haven't gone to their website. Maybe that's still local news, and it's just the shows, right? And if it's just the shows, it's not the end of the world, right? It's kind of a bummer, but times are changing. They are changing.
But Keith used to call me just before like 4:30. He could dial my cell phone and say, "Hey, how do I pronounce this? What's the story behind this? Is there an update?" So I get it.
Yeah. You probably won't get people from Madison calling you.
No, right? They're not gonna call.
Yeah.
They don't have enough time in the day. So you lose that local connection, and I don't like that. So sorry, somebody's talking. There's police stuff going on. I don't know.
Jerks. Don't they know you're doing a show? All right.
Yeah,
so
sure.
We have a lot to get to. Let's first start with we had a story yesterday. 2 of them, we did the initial story, and then the Shell Lake Police Department put out some information. Bomb threat prompts large police presence at Shell Lake School District. I know that you and the Barron County Sheriff's Office, along with many others, responded to that. So take us through your experience when you get the call, and then what's next, like just from your side.
Yeah. Washburn County had called and said, we have this bomb threat, and a threat of an active shooter in the Shell Lake school. Can you guys go to the line? I heard the call. I was sitting here.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I have to stop right now. An active shooter?
No, a threat of an active shooter.
Threat of an active shooter. Okay.
Yeah. So there was that somebody was going to come to the school. And so what happened is that we got the call that says, "Hey, can you guys go to the line?" And I immediately said, just go to the school, just like they came to help us with 3M. And so we drove to the school. I jumped in the car, and all of us drove up to Shell Lake, and we arrived on scene. They were obviously already, Washburn County and Shell Lake and Spooner were all on scene already. The DNR, the State Patrol were already on scene. They were already clearing the school. They were almost done. I met up with Sheriff Stewart and the chief of Shell Lake, and they were there, taking care of everything. And they had one job for us to do. We did it with our team that was there, not our SWAT team, but our team of people that were there from Barron County. We cleared the parking lot for them and made sure everything was safe. And we left. It was a hoax. It was a swatting call. They suck, but we have to have that kind of response, because you never know. If we didn't have that response and it was true, the Shell Lake chief or the sheriff or in Barron County and me, whoever, would be like, "No, you didn't respond." And so you can't win with these situations. You have too much response. You have not enough response. But so you go with too much response, because, if there's a fire at a house and I page 3 fire departments, no one's going to complain. But if I only page 1 and I know it's a big fire, then people are going to complain. So you can't have too much of a response. You hate to have that much, emergency traffic driving down roads and passing cars, and, it becomes dangerous. But our people are trained to go slow, and, we drove around Cumberland, so we didn't drive through Cumberland because we were on this edge of the county. And so all that goes in your mind going to that. Hats off to Shell Lake Chief and Sheriff Stewart, did a fabulous job. The Shell Lake Fire Department, Shell Lake Fire Department did a great job of blocking the road. I learned some things that I'm going to do next time we have a call like that. So you learn from every one of these.
Let's stop right there.
Okay.
That's perfect. I want to find out, what did you learn? But first, let's go back. You got the call, and it was you said to stop at the county line.
Yeah.
What is typically the reason for stopping at the county line? And then why did you not? If that was the request, hey, stop at the county line. What is usually the reason that somebody wants you to kind of stage at a county line? And then why didn't you?
Just in case they need you. And why didn't I? Because I know that the more people that go to these scenes, the better off you are. In case something happened, I didn't want to be 5 miles away. Well, it's only 5 miles.
Oh, that's true. It's right. It really isn't that far.
It's not like I was going 30 extra miles. It was 5 miles. And so if it would have been Spooner, and I don't want to call Sheriff Stewart I didn't know the Shell Lake Police Chief number, but I have Sheriff Stewart's number. I would have called him and said, do you need us? And he would have said, I don't know. I knew exactly what they were going through because they didn't know the answer to the question because they hadn't searched the school yet. They didn't know if there was anything in the school. But again, they did a great job.
How many people ended up going? You were going, and how many other people did you bring with?
4, 5, 6 or 7 from our county. I stopped some of our people from coming once we arrived, and there was plenty of people there. And they were almost done searching the school, as I was told, so I didn't need any more. But to search a school to that level and that big of area, you need a lot of people, or it's going to take you a long time to search it. So they had quite a few people inside the school. They had some people on the outside, so we searched some of the outside. So, great response.
We have a question here from Tamara, and again, you're not the lead agency here, so I'm not sure if you can even answer this.
Yeah.
But Tamara has a question. Was the school evacuated with a swatting call saying a bomb was in school? And was reported that Chippewa Falls also got a call. Can this automated call be detected? Yeah, I heard that there was Chippewa at the time that we did the post. It was Chippewa and a school in Wausau. It wasn't like I don't think it was like the Wausau school district. It was like a school in Wausau. And then someone had posted on our Facebook page in the comments. Actually, several people did that. Amory may have gone through this too. Was the school evacuated with that swatting call saying a bomb was in school? Do you know the answer to that question?
The school was I don't know why the school wasn't evacuated. The school was not evacuated, which I don't believe we would have evacuated our school in a situation like this. And so a couple things go into play, but I'm not going to talk about that. It's from a technical standpoint, a safety standpoint. It's based on information you receive. And I think what they did with the Shell Lake School and what the Shell Lake Chief did were perfect. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. So I think it was handled very appropriately. The response was very appropriate. And, they happened all over. And no, we can't trace it. I'm not saying we can't trace it. I'm saying the FBI will definitely look into this, especially since it was multi-county wide. My guess is they'll just compare them to make sure they were the same. I was told it was automated. I was told it wasn't automated. I do not know the answer to that.
Sure.
But the chief put it that it was automated. So I don't know if it's but you can't, it's probably fake when you get that call, but you don't. But bad things happen in small towns.
And you and I've talked about it when it comes to kids. Like you don't. Oh boy, I almost slipped up there. You don't screw around when it comes to kids. Just saying.
Yeah.
You and I've said that over and over and over again. And not to say that this would be different if it was a threat to a business, for example. Right. But when it comes to schools, man, you don't take that lightly.
No, and you look at the response, and Facebook is great, but it's also bad because you look at when Chippewa Falls went through something and people didn't like the response that they did for whatever the call was. It was a year ago, and people were like, "Oh, the police and the school did this wrong," and so I don't think anybody can complain about the way we responded or the way they responded. I mean, we responded. We were just extra. I knew when we got there, we were probably just going to sit in our cars or stand in a circle. But it was, I seen the Spooner chief was there, Mike was there, and obviously him and I had some words, but I asked him. No, I didn't.
Did you ask him if there's anybody available that you want to take?
I did. I said, since we're here, do you want to do interviews?
Yes.
So, and he didn't like it, but he liked it. It was good fun. But that's the response. I mean, Mike and his team were there from Spooner, and so I mean, it's just an immediate thing, and it's good training. I'm not saying it was perfect. I know people are going to say, well, you knew it was fake when it was automated. And I'm like, yeah, until it's not. And yeah, I'm not willing to take that risk. And when someone else sits in this chair, they can take that risk. I'm not taking a risk when it comes to kids or businesses or adults. Great
answer.
So when somebody else wants to sit in this chair, they sure can.
Yeah.
But
if you expect anything less from the sheriff of Barron County, just saying.
Or any sheriff. I mean, the chief and the sheriff of Washburn, Dennis did a great job, or Sheriff Stewart did a great job, and the chief did a great job. I mean, they suck, and do you search it? Do you do all this? And they did it all, and they did a very good job, and they weren't there very long. It didn't disrupt school. I'm sure there's some scared kids, but this is a good talking point for parents, a good talking point for administrators, a good talking point for people. Bad things happen in the world. This is the response. That's why we take our SWAT truck and we put it in the parade and we take it to school, and we let kids ride in it to school for, some rewards and something, because it isn't bad. When we have our big guns out, it looks tough, but that's just what it is. And so, we have to show people that this isn't bad. We know how to handle this stuff and still can high five kids.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of thoughts going through my head right now. Everything from, I love how our community comes together. And now in the sense of, we've talked about almost these random or arbitrary county lines, but we're still just one big community. And I always love hearing these stories of how all law enforcement, they'll drop anything in a heartbeat, right? And what can I do to help in these situations? I love hearing that. And this is, it's Positive Tuesday. So the positive out of this is one of the many is, you're right, it's great training, because you can't really do a training if everyone knows it's a training. So we actually think there could be something happening, so you can learn a lot from it. So that actually goes to what you were just about to talk about a few minutes ago. What did you learn? So you had said that you had learned some stuff, how they do it, and you may implement that for your team. What were those things?
Well, I think where they had the fire department position, whether it happened or if that's how they trained, I don't know the answer to that. They're having a debrief today. I can't make it because I have another meeting, but I sent some notes to the chief about how great a job he did. And, but they also had a map inside the school with a magic marker or a dry erase marker that they were using to say they checked this area.
Smart.
I like that. I think that was great. I don't know who came up with that again, if it was the school or the chief or whoever. But
maybe it was Dave Wilson.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was actually. If that was implemented a long time ago, or maybe it was the school. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny. We haven't mentioned Dave Wilson in a long time.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and he would have been there too if we really needed him. So, but yeah, they did where the fire department was, the mapping. I think it was great. It was well done. Somebody will set armchair quarterback it. The chief shouldn't take any gruff over it, or the sheriff. They did a great job.
Okay, so here's a question about something that's probably a not very popular topic or question to ask about it. Cost. If you stopped at the county line, is there a cost? Does Washburn County or the Shell Lake Police Department, do they have to pay other places that come to help out? And maybe if you'd stayed at that line, as soon as you cross that line, now all of a sudden you're on our time, we had to pay for this.
Well, technically we could bill them. Well, they didn't officially request us. They kind of did, but no, we've never sent a bill. I've never been billed. And all the people that have come to help me, including Washburn County, have come to help.
Really?
I've never got a bill in my time as sheriff, and I've never billed anybody in my time for sheriff. And I don't know anybody that would. Now, if we were there for 5 days, maybe we'd have to think about it. But
sure, maybe it was different during the Kloss case. I'm assuming that was probably a little bit different, right?
A little bit, but no one sent me a bill, and I took detectives for weeks, and not one person sent me a bill.
What?
Yeah, not one person.
I love this area.
Not DCI, not a department. Washburn, Sawyer, St. Croix sent me people. Never. I got a bill, and I would never think about billing. I wouldn't. If the county board wanted to bill, I would say, no, we're not billing. So
I'm not kidding, man. That's incredible. And good morning, Representative Gabe Manafigi. Representative only for another month or so.
Another month. Yep.
Yeah, and I can't wait. Gabe, I need to call you and schedule you to come on the show because I can't wait to have an elected official on the show when they're no longer the elected official. I can't wait for all the bombs you're going to be dropping. It'll be fantastic. You should absolutely come on.
I'm not on next week. Maybe she can be on next week.
I have a guest lined up for that. All right, let's move on. So you had put out, by the way, great job, everyone involved in this.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of agencies involved, not just multiple county law enforcement, but as you had mentioned, everything from EMS, great job to the school district, to the Shell Lake Police Department, to the fire department. I mean, this was a great job to everyone. Absolutely.
Kids were always safe. Kids were always, teachers do a great job. Hats off to our teachers, whether it was Shell Lake or any school district. Hats off to them. Our teachers keep our kids safe, and our cops support their teachers and vice versa. So it works out great.
And good thing it didn't happen during one of our shows because you're not leaving.
Because we would have had to be live on the way. And it would have been,
Yeah. All right. So you, last week you had put out, we actually separated this into two different articles and then linked them kind of together. First one was Barron County Sheriff's Office notifies public of upcoming release of 3 convicted sex offenders. Then the second article was community meeting announced to address release of sex offenders in Barron County. So let's actually kind of look at it that way. Let's not get too far ahead. We'll get to the community meeting, why you call that, when it is, and etc. But let's just talk about the 3 and actually break that down into 2 parts as well. I believe there were 2 that are being released, I think this week. I don't have it in front of, was it next week?
Next week.
Next week. And I think they're going to be residing in the same place, and it fell under like a chapter 910 or something. I can't remember what that was. And then the second person was going to be released later this month, and that was not one of the chapter whatevers. And at the time, it was like homeless. So let's just start with the first 2. So we've talked about these before, but kind of a recap. Why are they getting released, and what does the chapter whatever mean?
So it's a chapter 980. And we've been trying to find housing for these 2 subjects who have served their sentence and are released. I know people don't like it. This is court ordered. This isn't something that I, as the sheriff or the Barron County or the state of Wisconsin, a judge said these people have met their time they did in prison, they've met their treatment, and they can be released into the public. But as a condition of the release, they have X, Y, Z conditions, lots of conditions. The one condition that everybody's asked about is they are GPS monitored for life. So, yes, could they cut it off? 100% they could cut it off. All of our sex offenders on the GPS monitor could cut it off tomorrow. Any person that's out on Huber could cut that off. Anybody can cut the monitor off. As soon as you wiggle that, it goes off. It's an immediate response to a call center and an immediate response to us. It takes less than a minute to notify us that someone's jiggling their monitor. It doesn't just slip off like, just cut it with a butter knife. It takes.
But what if like somebody wants to, if it's on your ankle and you need to scratch it or something, you're trying to move it around so you can there's itch in there. Does that trigger something like that? I mean, maybe you don't know that, but
it can.
Really?
But it has enough flexibility to do that. But if you pull on it to cut it, there's some. It's going to notify us.
That's
they're
crazy.
Very good. They're very good at what they are. So these guys are 980. They're violent sex offenders. That's what Chapter 980 means. They're not nice people. I mean, maybe they're reformed. I don't have any idea. Sure. The county doesn't get a say in this. Now, these are the people, if you remember, we've been talking about these guys for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. The county had so many months to find housing for these people. It ends up being a county problem. Why is it a county problem? Because the state statute changed years ago to say it's a county problem. But sex offenders, these guys both committed their offenses in Barron County. That's why they have to be placed in Barron County. That's why we don't have sex offenders from Milwaukee moving up to northern Wisconsin where no one knows who they are and they can just work in Spooner or work in Rice Lake or work wherever. So the law is put in place so we don't get sex offenders from outside the area. So that's a good thing.
Well, outside the area, if they didn't commit the crime, because you could have a Milwaukee person who was in Barron County who committed the crime, went to jail, but then they would still have to release in Barron County because that's where it actually happened.
I.e. the third guy. The third guy is most of his sex crimes are happening in another state, but because he committed his other crimes here, he's on GPS. He has to serve his time here. So I don't think the third guy is going to be up in the air. I had to release the information because I always release information to the public because I think it's important. Now, I think it's important. We're going to hold. So the other two guys, just to not get ahead of ourselves, they're both going to get out and they both can stay together in the same house because of certain rules. I don't know why they can. I just know that they can. It's based on victimology. It's based on a lot of things, but they can both be in the same house. Okay. So which is a good thing, I think. I think it's a good thing. I know no one wants it in their backyard. I understand that. Yeah. 100%. I get it. But they have to be somewhere, and somebody has a house, and they rented it to the state of Wisconsin or the Department of Human Services. There is a ton of rules on these people. They can't even go outside of this house for the first so long. I believe it's a year. Don't quote me on the number. It's a long time. Yeah, they can't even go outside. To be escorted to like a doctor's appointment, to probation, they're escorted by two people that are being hired to check on them, and they escort them to and from wherever. Now, you might see them at a grocery store or at the gas station, or they have to.
But they will be with like a chaperone, essentially.
They will be with a chaperone. Two of them, I believe, for the first, I think it's a year. Okay. Again, I'm going to learn a lot. This is the first time in, what do we think, 20-some years that a 980 has been released in Barron County. There has been one since I've been in law enforcement. So I've been in law enforcement 28 years. There's been one other Chapter 980 released. And that one has been violation-free for the past 20-plus years. So they know what they have going for them.
And and to be clear, again, the 980 part was because of the violent aspect. That word is like the trigger word right there, right? Yeah. I'm sure maybe there's other factors too into the 980, but it was the violent part. That's kind of what steps it up a little.
Right. These are 980s that they get classified by a judge. 980 means, whatever. So I don't know the definition, but you can come to the meeting. So these two guys are getting released, and I'm allowed to have a meeting. Under a 980, you can hold a community meeting. So I'm holding a community meeting tomorrow night at 6:00 at the government center in Barron, in our auditorium. It's 335 East LaSalle Avenue, the government center in downtown Barron.
You have an auditorium in the government center?
Oh yeah.
What? I didn't see that on the tour that you gave Drusha and the kids.
No, not in this building. Other building.
Oh, where is it then?
The downtown Barron. That's what I'm trying to explain. I said downtown Barron. It's kind of like McConnell. You don't know where McConnell was. No. No, it's downtown in the middle of Barron. It's the government center. It used to be where the old courthouse was, the old jail. All of that. So that's where the meeting is, in the auditorium, and held. It's kind of like our county boardroom. Our county board meets there, but there's about 75 chairs. So we're having a meeting at 6:00 tomorrow night. I'm going to open the meeting. I'm going to talk about the things I just talked about. Like, I get it. No one wants this in their backyard. But the state was making the county purchase property and build something. I know no one likes it, but there's a savings to the taxpayers of Barron County because we didn't have to. We could have rented it to the state of Wisconsin. They're paying rent and blah, blah, blah. But it's not something the county wants to get into. But by law, a judge released these two people. They've served their sentence, no different than a murderer or a whatever have served their sentence. No one wants these guys out. I don't want them out. It's not my choice. My choice is to keep the community safe. I think educating the public on their conditions, their restrictions, like I said, the last 980 guy who was a Chapter 980, who I considered violent because of his offenses, has not had a violation that I'm aware of, and I've been in law enforcement 28 years. I don't think he's ever been in our jail. So there's a ton of restrictions, where they can go, what they can do, their ankle monitor, things like that. So in that meeting tomorrow night at 6:00 and in Barron, I'm going to talk about what this is. The state of Wisconsin is going to be there. He's a supervised release program liaison for the Wisconsin Department of Human Services. That's what 980 means. Probation and parole will will monitor these subject, but it's also the Department of Human Services, the state of Wisconsin, has some rules that they put on these people. So, the county doesn't have a say. You can't abuse or threaten these people. They are not wanted by law enforcement. They have served their sentence, and we'll put them back in jail. If they violate, I'm promising you, we'll put them in jail. But I can't do anything until they violate the law. But I think it's important to say, that sex offenders come back to the county of their conviction.
Yeah.
Or something I like. An informed and educated community is a safer community. That's the statement.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
Right. So I know no one wants these two guys, but they are coming back to Barron County, and this is a house, and it's in someone's backyard. So
we have a question from Daryl on YouTube. Ask who owns the house they live in. I think the address is in the release, but I don't even know if it's what.
I mean, I know who the owner is, but I'm not. It's not mine to release that.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter who the owner is. He's just renting it. I mean, I know people say, but sooner or later, the county was going to be the owner of the house, if not.
Sure, right.
Someone is getting rent money, and I don't know that we'll even hear from these two guys after they get out. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully they live happily ever after in their house. But my guess is they will live there probably forever because of no one else is going to rent to these guys. It took us 2 years. I think they looked at over 100 properties in Barron County to try to purchase or find a landlord, or in the state of Wisconsin, it doesn't work at lightning speed. So it's tough to say, I'm going to buy this house and then agree to this. And it has to be so many feet from this and so many yards from this and so many, can't be by a daycare, and it can't be by a church, and it can't be by this, and it can't be by that. So there's not a lot of houses that it fits.
How do they get? Yeah. I'm not trying to be sympathetic here.
Right.
I'm just trying to. This is the first time I think we have talked about a 980.
It's been 20 years since we've ever had one in Barron County.
So if they have all those restrictions, which that's fantastic,
right?
But how do they get them? How do they pay the rent? Does the state pay the rent? Does the county pay the rent? Or do they have to get jobs? How does that work from your knowledge?
So, and I only have knowledge of the last one, and I don't have a lot of, direct knowledge of it, some direct knowledge. But yes, the state of Wisconsin is paying it for a time being. And then I know the 980 subject, the other one works or was working. I assume he still is working at a place and has been a model employee. Shows up for work, and now he pays his own rent. I was told. Okay. So after a certain time period, these guys are going to be allowed, if they follow the rules. And I don't know about these two. I assume it's the same, but the other guy had to take lie detector tests. And, are you thinking about escaping? Are you thinking about this? Are you thinking about this? And
wow,
it gets pretty probably graphic, I would guess, these questions, because they don't mess around with these guys. I mean,
doesn't sound like it.
A judge says these two guys have to get released. We don't have a say in that, and these guys have served many, many years, many more years than people that we've convicted of murdering someone else. And not that I agree with that, but there's murderers, are some of the murderers that we've seen get convicted under my term as sheriff are getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that's right either, but I'm not the judge. I don't get a say in this. They didn't say, hey, what do you think about releasing these two guys? I mean, no, I don't. But the judge said these two guys have served their sentence, there's a punishment for their crime, and they've served it. They've met their treatment needs. They've met their whatever needs, and they are allowed to get out. And they just happen to be probably younger when they did that.
So you said they would be potentially able to get a job. I'm wondering, and again, I doubt you know the answer to this. I'm actually wondering, not just would they be able to get a job, do they have to ever get a job? Are they ever going to be told, okay, after a year, you are now responsible for 50% of the rent And then by year 2, you're going to be responsible for 100%. But what happens if they don't get a job? Then what? But anyway, it's a rabbit hole. A whole bunch of weird scenarios, hypotheticals.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. One guy is 64, one guy is 38. So, I don't know if that guy at 64, I don't know his health condition.
Sure.
And Tamara puts on, why not leave him in jail? Because the judge says they can't be in jail anymore. They have served their sentence in prison. They're getting released from prison on the 19th and will be transported to Barron County and be living here. So the 19th, and that's why the meeting came up so quick, because they finally found a house. They were placed there. The contract was signed, and now it's up to me to have a meeting. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking at the meeting.
Sure.
But it's my job to do what I can to keep the people safe, and that's what we're doing. So are they truly reformed? I have no idea.
That's not for you to even. Yeah. Seriously, that's not. That doesn't really fall into your purview. It's not that. This is what it is. What about the third one then?
Well, and I don't know that the third one will even end up here. He's trying to get back to Minnesota, but right now he's released as homeless. And this isn't the first homeless sex offender we've released. And they have a GPS monitor. He has a lifetime GPS also. I believe his is lifetime. I'm looking here. Comply with GPS. I don't know if his is lifetime. His is a GPS, so he will be. So I know they let him charge at the probation office. So he'll have to get a ride to the probation office to charge his GPS, and then he'll have to go live wherever he wants. And live in his car or live wherever. I don't know where he's going to live. That's up to him in probation and parole. He is not a violent one. He is not a 980. He got looped in here because I wasn't sending another one out a week later and confusing people. So while this did confuse people, it put it all on the table, and we can talk about the homeless guy. And more people are concerned about the homeless guy than the 980 guys at times, because he is just walking around with he has restrictions. We can look him up, and anytime I can call Madison and say, give me the location of offender, X. And I can look him up, and they'll tell me his location. So I can look him up to make sure, he's not hanging out at the school, and we can track him on a map and say he walked by a school. Well, if he walks by a school, he's probably going to be in trouble. I don't know what his rules are, but let's just say he couldn't be my one.
Sure.
There's things like that. So probation and parole will be at this meeting. Human Services will be at this meeting. The state Human Services, Barron County Human Services. Again, DHS Frolic does not have a vote in this. This is the state of Wisconsin Human Services putting these people under restrictions. And they have a ton of rules, and I couldn't list them all. So not that gives anybody, I'm not trying to give anybody false hope. I think we need to be aware. That's why they have their pictures. That's why there's signs on the property. We're not going to let people, they can't even, if someone knocks on the door, let's say I'm selling cookies, you can't go to that door. They can't even answer the door. If they answer the door, I don't know what happens, if it's a trigger or whatever. Yeah, I mean, they can't even answer door.
Well, that's interesting because, going back to put this one part about what Tamara said, why let them out of a controlled jail atmosphere? I don't know. This sounds like a satellite jail.
It kind of is.
Right. And I don't mean that jokingly. I mean, seriously, that's crazy. I mean, crazy
they
good.
They have to earn it back. And the judge says you don't need to be in jail anymore, but you have to have these restrictions. And then when these restrictions, if you're good, I think these restrictions get lifted. I don't know. I don't have any idea. The state of Wisconsin can answer this because I got asked this. Do they have the internet? I highly doubt they have the internet.
I would highly doubt that.
I would highly doubt it, but that's a question from the state of Wisconsin. That's a question I'm going to ask because I know people have asked me, and I don't know the answer to that.
Sure.
So, yes, I think I would agree that the judge probably gets reports from therapists and counseling and everything that happens in the prison. I think all of that goes into it. And these guys have been in prison for a long time. What their date of offense was 1982. 1982 was this guy's date of offense, and the other guys was 03 and 02. So they've been in prison for 20 plus years. Yeah, he was. Wow. That was his conviction date, 1980 and 1982.
That's like 40 years, right?
Yeah, 42 years, right?
Yeah, holy cow.
Yeah, he's been in prison 42 years.
I can't imagine that. Again, I'm not feeling sympathetic for the person. I'll be clear about that. No, but I just can't imagine being in jail for a week. Much less prison for 40. I mean, that's so bizarre.
So, yeah, I don't like it. It's not my vote. It's not
It
the
is what it
county's
is.
vote. It's not Jeff French's vote. It's not Human Services vote. It's not even probation and parole's vote. And a lot of times, I don't always agree with everything probation and parole does. It's probably like they don't agree with everything we do.
Sure.
But they don't have a say either. A judge released these two people. What judge? I don't have any idea who the judge was.
And honestly, it's irrelevant.
Before they
I
can
mean,
look it up, it is irrelevant. The judge based his decision on the rules of the law. The judge didn't say, you know what, the sun's out today. I'm feeling nice.
right.
Let these two guys out of jail. That's
Yeah.
not what happened. A lot went into this. A lot of, and I don't know if this is the first time they asked the judge to release or if it's the 10th time they asked the judge for release. I don't know if anybody even knows that. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Are people at risk? I hope not. I don't know.
Well, here's the only, if we're kind of looking at the positives here. First of all, I think our kids are at risk all the time, and that's probably just because I'm a parent. I always think the kids are at risk. If there's a positive from this, other than the fact that it sounds like there's very strict things that you just talked about, is that we have identified the risk. And I think that is actually a positive because there's a lot of other people out there. I mean, unfortunately, we have to keep doing more and more stories on this. As you and I have talked before, I don't seek out these stories. There's more and more things about against sexual crimes against minors. And it's typically going to be an older male and a minor female. And we're just seeing more and more of this stuff. That's not my opinion. That is, you look at the docket, you look at all the things that are filed in our 6 counties, it's happening more and more. But if we look at it from our kids are always at risk, and I don't want to make everyone like, oh, keep your kids locked up at home and don't ever let them go outside. That's just part of life, I guess. But at least we've identified who the bad guys are, right? We know who they are. We have a photo of them. We know what their residence is. We know what to be aware of. At least there's that, because there are still people out there who have not gotten caught yet, and we don't know who those people are. So if there's anything, there's some, there you go, some silver linings and prayers, right?
Right. And if people don't like this, call Romaine and Dave Armstrong and say Chapter 980 should never get out of prison. Change the law.
I'll get you the phone numbers right now. We'll call Romaine. I'm just kidding.
I'll probably join the fight. But I don't think a judge or the legislature is going to do that, because there is a thing that people are reformed and people do get out of jail and do good things. Now, maybe these two guys aren't the model citizens, and maybe hopefully they've learned. And I would guess there's enough confidence in somebody that told the judge that they've reformed. Whether that's because they said what they did in prison, I have no idea. They've been in prison a long time. And
even if they aren't reformed, I mean, just because somebody's reformed doesn't mean their time is up. They've served their sentence, and I mean, that's just how it works. You get a sentence, and it's 3 years in and 4 years out, or whatever it is, and then you find that was the sentence, and now you're released. And I don't know if this person was released early, or if it was, nope, your time is up, and now you have to go back to the community. It's just how it works.
I was involved in the Fankhauser one. I was involved in that. I know about that. I was at the PD at the time. That was a Rice Lake PD case. I don't know that. It wasn't even a cop. I was still in middle school in 1982.
Yeah, 1982. So, I was born in the late 70s. So I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, 82. Think
I was
about
in
that.
elementary school or middle school. Yeah.
Every 40 years. Holy cow, we got 40-year sentence. Well,
good.
So maybe judges will realize that these sentences for some of these people aren't long enough because they do get out. I don't know. So, but yeah, come to the meeting tomorrow night, learn more. I'm going to learn more. We're going to answer everybody's questions the best we can. It's not going to be a free for all. You're not going to yell. We're not going to vote. We're not going to, this isn't a meeting that says, hey, we don't want them here. No one wants them here. I agree. But they're here. They're coming on December 19th. And so we have to accept that. And if we didn't have this house, we'd either have a taxpayer money laid up in this, or they would be, I don't know if they could ever be homeless. I don't know. But sooner or later, they more than likely have to be released from prison because the judge says so. So I think these guys should have probably been released a year and a half ago. And I don't know the rules and the regulations of this, but yeah, so we've been doing this project. Many people have. I haven't been part of a small portion of this, but there's many county people been working on this for a year and a half. It ends up being the county problem. I know Jeff at French, our county administrator, has worked with some of our legislatures saying this shouldn't be a county problem. It is a county problem. So, but the state's paying, which means we're all paying. I get it. And hopefully they can become members of society and pay their own bills. That's all we can hope for, and they don't violate.
So tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the 11th, 6 o'clock at the government center or government building center in Barron. Will there be refreshments? Open bar?
There will not be. No. Maybe we should have done that. And
you get a lot of people show up if there's open bar.
Yeah. So I hope people show up and learn and listen. And like I said, an informed community is a safer community.
Amen.
And we'll do what we can. So
all right. We're already getting. I think we already hit our time already. But real quick, Barron. What's that?
By far, but that's okay.
Yeah. That's. I mean, we had two really big things. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah.
Did you see Barron County has a new ADA?
We do. I've seen him.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I got this announcement yesterday, and I called down. I'm like, "Are you going to send a photo?" Like, we decided not to send a photo. I'm like, I don't know if that's a thing. Like, we don't want photos of our people. I don't know why, but that was their decision. I don't care. So it's like a stock photo of like a courtroom or something. I don't know what to use. Apparently, he was an ADA down in Eau Claire. So what was the opening? Was that a new position, or did somebody leave?
Someone left. Brady left. Brady went to be I think a corporation counsel in Chippewa County, maybe. So one of our younger attorneys left. He worked for the public defender's office. ADA Rocco did. So we're familiar with ADA Rocco. He's a good guy.
Good.
Yep. So, great guy.
Welcome. A good addition to the team.
Yep. Great addition to the team. So.
All right. Dirk Miller, our official weatherman for the Positive Tuesday with Ben and Mike show. Right. Here's his 5-day forecast. Again, this is kind of for rural northwest Wisconsin, so it may be a little bit different if you're in Amory or if you're in Radisson. But it looks like today, so the high is 2025, falling tomorrow. Oh my goodness, Thursday, a high of 5. Oish. Friday, 15-20, Saturday, some light snow. Well, I don't see a lot of snow. I think that usually is because when it's super cold, there's not a lot of snow. Looks like some very cold nights coming up.
Yeah, he said we might get a half inch tonight to Wednesday. I hope not. I mean, I know people want a white Christmas, but a lot of traveling gets done. So I'm not a big fan of snow during this time of the year for people traveling. I hope everybody has, I'm not on for 2 weeks here, so I hope.
Oh, yeah.
I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
By the way, we could technically do a Christmas Eve show on Tuesday.
Right.
I don't know if we're going to or not, because I don't know if anybody would even, I don't know. We probably won't, but we might. It's a 50-50. You don't have to. Okay. Do you want to do one on the 24th on the Christmas Eve morning or no?
We could do it in front of my Christmas tree at home, maybe. Maybe we'll do that. Ooh.
That'd be kind of cool.
You could be in front of your tree, and I'd be in front of my tree, and we could sing songs and hot cocoa. I don't know.
So you're joking about it, but that actually sounds, not horrible. Actually,
I could read a book.
If we do a show on the 24th, and we'll be back next week too. We have a guest filling in for you. But if we do one, we should probably do it a little bit different, right? Not a normal. I don't know what that looks like or how to do it. If anyone has any ideas, let us know.
We'll probably look and see what we have for crimes. Hopefully, we don't have any.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. What do you have coming up this week? I mean, obviously, the thing tomorrow night is going to be a big one.
Tomorrow night, we have a sheriff's meeting in Stevens Point on Thursday. All the sheriffs are getting together.
Badger State Sheriff's Association?
Mm-hmm.
What's the one in, what is it about this month or this time? You meet quarterly, don't you?
Yep. This is a legal update one. It's just a short one-day one.
Oh.
And then Jason's got some hockey in Minnesota this week. Or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So that's why I'm off Tuesday. He's got a hockey tournament. So I'll be taking 2 days of vacation. And then it turns into Emma comes home for Christmas for 3 days. So, yeah, we're having Christmas a little earlier because of work schedules. So, yeah, it's going to get kind of crazy for everybody. So hope the weather's good. I hope travel's safe and don't drink and drive and all that fun stuff we always talk about.
Yeah, no kidding. Awesome. Thanks so much, Fitzy.
Thank you.
For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm DrydenWire founder Ben Dryden. You've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. I think Tiffany's going to want you to sing on the 24th. I'll tune in for that one. Like, no kidding. Like Fitzy and I believe it's the little things that make a big...
So, I'm in.
Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call, see what they can do for you. 715-520-2271. Again, Fitzy is off next week, so filling in will be our very good friend, Brian Cole. I still remember those shows. We did like Cops and Robbers or something, the two of you together, because, former prison. And
he came here. We used to do it here.
Yeah, I forgot about it. That's awesome. So Brian will be filling in for you. That'd be a perfect fill-in guest for you next week. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.